Hey, what's up everybody? So, I don't know if you guys ever seen these subs or not before. These are a Rockford Falls Gate punch audio file. They are each individual 8 ohm. Even though it looks like it has duals, they're actually single. So they're just a little single lead off each side, even though it does look like they are a dual voice coil, but they're not. They're a single voice coil. See if I can pick one of them up and flip it for you guys. There you go. And that is what it looks like. Audio file. And so I'm going to run these. Now let's see if I can flip that back down one-handed. Hey, look, magic. I did that. That was pretty cool. So my cousin had these laying around, and he's going to allow me to run them. I don't know if he's going to sell them to me or not. There's a bunch of junk on the leads right now, like on the terminal connectors here. So I'm going to take some soldering iron, and I am going to try and pull that off and clean these up. I might solder on the 2 wires, so positive and negative, and then put some connectors on them so that they're prepped and ready to go for the box. I did get a box that's for 212s, the hatchback style box. It was cheap, it was 20 bucks. So there it is, ta-da, filled with polyfoam or polyfill. I will literally leave this shit in there because it may help. Although this is a little excessive because I think this sheet is an extra sheet than what originally was in this box. I mean, we'll see how it works out. There's quite a bit of it actually in there. So I don't know how it's going to affect the woofers or not, but we'll see. The box was designed for some JLs. It is a little dirty. I'm gonna clean that up. I got a spot cleaner shampooer. I'll go through. I ran a vacuum over it. I'll go through and run the spot cleaner shampoo little thing over the top of it. Just kind of lightly misting it and sucking up the stuff so I can try to get a bunch of it kind of cleaned up and get some of this mud dirt stuff. There's a bunch of it on the sides here. And if I can try to clean that up, stuff whatever the vacuum wouldn't. The bottom is covered in like wood chips. There's some stained stuff like right here, and then a little bit right there, a little bit there. There's some stains here. I mean, for 20 bucks though, it's a box, right? Don't know how good the screw holes are on there, if they're shredded. Other than that, it's a box. So, and I probably said that like 3 times or more, but it will work for what I want it for. And it's gonna go into the red car. So it'll rest up against the back seat, since that is kind of like that, the way that hatch style is for those seats. But yeah, that's the goal, is to put those in there. And I did get an amp kit too. So I got a, excuse me, I got a Jay's Audio amp kit. So little 8 gauge amp kit, OFC. This was cheap. I think it was like 20 bucks total. I got it off the old Evil Bay. It happened to be the last one too that was the 8 gauge. They have some 4 gauge ones and stuff, and they have some braided wires and stuff. It does come with a mini A&L fuse and fuse holder, so that's a good thing, right? Yeah, we're not going to be pushing too much to it. It says 800 watts that it's rated. It's about 700 watts is what we're going to be pushing through there, but that's if we go by what those amps actually say that they put out. We don't know what they put out. They're old school. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I did get my Vossen center caps for the rims. So got those in the mail. Ordered those from China. So that took a little bit to get in. Was not expecting them to come in, and they just kind of showed up. And I was like, what are these? Opened up the package. I was like, oh yeah, like I ordered those like almost a month ago. Well, stuff shows up. Random shit happens. So I'm gonna clean these up, and then we'll get cleaning up that box, and then we'll get, hopefully we can get these wired into the box maybe today too. So we'll see how it goes. A little late right now, just got off work. So as you can tell, still got the little badge thing on. So we'll just get to it. right, everybody, so we got this done now. I know the box isn't supposed to be angled this way and set up this way because this is technically the back. And then this would, or this is the bottom, I mean, and then this would be the back where it's sitting on right now. But I chose to put it this way because the way that it's going to be inside there, this will rest directly up against that back seat as being the actual back of the box now instead of the bottom. And then I'm going to build an amp rack that's going to go right in front of it. So it'll have the 2-channel and 4-channel set up inside there. And then it'll have a splitter and you'll be able to kind of see where all that stuff's at. But it'll be, basically everything will be hidden because it'll be slightly upraised, and then it'll be, all the wires will be covered, and then it'll have a plexiglass top over the top of it, and I'm going to cut into the plexiglass or router into the plexiglass and then put a LED strip inside there to where it lights up the amp rack and stuff. So this is the old school Rockford Falls Gate punch audiophiles. So if you've never heard of them, there you go, now you've heard of them. So they're meant for sound quality, and in that car I'm not looking for extreme bass, I'm looking for something just to add a little bit of punch or kick to it for kick drum for music. Believe it or not, I actually listen to a lot of like metal and rock music when I'm driving around, just everyday stuff. If I'm at a stereo comp, I listen to rap music and stuff because obviously that has the best bass, or if I'm feeling like I'm in the mood to or something, I'll listen to, rap music that has like bass and stuff for it. But most of the time, the bass is actually turned down a lot of the time. Like especially within the wagon when I had the 212s in there, or when I originally got it, it had the 18 in there. I would just turn it down and just try to give it to where it had just a little bit of bass for like the kick. It's kind of hard to tune that because once you tune it a certain way, and tune it for SPL or for extreme bass stuff, you'd have to go back through and retune everything. And so this setup is just going to be strictly sound quality for as a daily driver. And so audiophile setup, 300 watt amp to power them. I think it's a 400 watt 4-channel to power the mids and highs, and it's going to be from the same Urban Audio Works setup. So it'll be pretty good when it's in there. The only difference is the speakers that I have in there definitely ain't set for sound quality. They're down for sound mid-range speakers, not mid-bass. And the only ones that are mid-bass are the DS18s that are in the like the back normal little curve area where the people sit in the back and their kind of armrest sits right there. Those are a little 5 1/4 DS18 mid-bass. Otherwise, it's 6.5 inch mid-range in the back and 6.5 inch mid-range in the front. And then there's a crossover in the back, and the woofers are wired together to 8 ohm load to the crossover. And that gives and then the tweeters are 8 ohm. They have a CT Sounds, basically a CT Sounds motor and cover, but the diaphragm is a PRB 8 ohm. So it doesn't take as much deck power to run that, is the reason why I always put 8 ohm into, I try to put 8 ohm into cars, especially if I'm running them with crossover setup, trying to run multiple of them. I'll try to find 8 ohm. That way it's less power from an amp, and it's not as hard on the crossovers, and it's not as hard on the stereo in general. So I try to run 8 ohm. That's personal preference. I know I had 8 ohm DS18s inside my truck in the doors, just running off of deck power, and yeah, they were so loud you could probably hear them for a block. So that amp rack will be mounted into here or mounted up to here and kind of set in place. So these will be set at an angle, so when you pop the hatch, you actually see them at the angle instead of, if these were flat, then they'd be just completely flat along the bottom, and you'd have to look and say, oh yeah, those are that. At least this way it shoots more towards the glass, and then also when you pop the back, it's more for aesthetic looks. So that's why I did turn it. I did put a new push terminal wire or speaker terminal inside here, push terminal, speaker terminal. That one was a twist down, old school style one. The positive was broken. So I just decided to replace it anyways with a different one. So they are wired inside the box. And there is a hole that's drilled through that's for the wires to pass through. That was already there. Somebody sealed it up at one point with wood glue. I just left it open. That little bit of air gap, I mean, it's probably like that big. Gotcha. Yeah, so anyways, it's not gonna matter. It's just not gonna matter. So I doubt that little bit, keeping it as a sealed section, is gonna matter for air transfer between the two of them, and it's not gonna hurt the sound quality that's gonna come out of them. So these are ready to go. I did put the polyfill back in, as you've seen. Oh, you can see there is a little bit of a jump there, but it ain't much. So it's not completely sealed off in there, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Don't really care either which way. Could have been a big open chamber and I'd have been fine with it. I got the box for 20 bucks, you know? It said, excuse me, it said that it was JL Audio wedge box. So that means at one point it had JL Audios in it, I'm assuming, because that's what the placard said. And when I seen it online, the guy had some Wolfenhagens in here, and so I asked him how much. He said 20 bucks. I figured it was just going to be the box, but I was like, 20 bucks, you know, that's crazy if it's actually going to come with the Wolfenhagens. I was like, well, let's, you know, what am I going to do with those things anyways? I didn't really want them. So I get over there. The guy was out of town, so he's had his friend or roommate or somebody put out the box outside, and then I just shot it with Venmo. But this was just sitting out there, no speakers in it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I seen a bunch of polyfill, and I was like, you know what, that's not going to be a problem, because I was going to put polyfill in it anyways. They weren't equal though, so now the polyfill is basically equal between them. So this should have pretty good sound quality. The polyfill should help to fill up the excess airspace that's inside there. It'll also make the box sound a little bit bigger, and it'll give it the subs a little bit more back pressure, so it should make the kicks a little tighter. But yeah, I basically got this thing and it cleaned it up. It was a whopping 20 bucks. And everything, as you can see, is definitely needs to kind of dry out. It's everything's dry, I guess, for the most part. There's just like one little edge along the bottom there that's kind of wet still, and that little corner over here. But I'm not too worried about it hurting the box at all, or messing with the box, like on the corners of it or something like that, and like rotting the box. It seemed like it was a pretty solid box on the inside. It was like no water damage. I can't feel any damage on the box outside wise. Somebody did have on the back of the box, they did have some amp or something hooked up to it at some point, or a couple of them. There were some leftover screws in there, and there's a bunch of screw holes inside there. So now that that's the bottom, and it's going to be sitting against the ground, it has less for air to come through those holes. I could have filled them. I could have put caulking in there and filled them and waited for that to dry, and, you know, went a little bit more deep into the details on this thing and actually fixed it up. But the carpet is no longer crunchy and all grubby. So I did clean it up. I used the shampooer, sprayed it a little bit. It had like a mixture of water and Fabulosa in there, and then just kind of vacuumed it off with that. There's a few spots where I used the drill with some actual like upholstery cleaner to get a bunch of the dirt off and try to clean it up, make it look a little bit better anyways. Can't expect much for 20 bucks, but I think that does pretty good for 20 bucks. So this is going to go into that thing. Once I get the rims done, right now, yeah, the rims are in the back of it, and obviously we're kind of packing stuff up and getting ready to move. Good news, we might have found a shop to move into. It's bigger than this one. No office though, so we'll probably have to frame out and build an office, which is fine. That's pretty much the only difference, is there's no office. And when you first walk in, instead of it being an office and then the bathroom, it's just the bathroom, and then the mop sink is attached on the back end, and then the water heater and stuff. So my cousin's talking about building off from that bathroom and building off a little office area, and then it would be the workbenches and stuff like right after that. So it'll be done when we get there, when we figure it out and get our stuff moved over there and vehicles moved over there, but it's a little bit more space. So it goes, I think it's like 1,900 square feet or something he said, or 1,920 square feet. So right now we're like 1,750, I think. So it'll be quite a bit bigger, but we are going to end up paying more money than what we're paying here. This is kind of like an ideal setup shop because it has the office right up front, and you know, we could definitely turn this into a business, but at this point it's just still us just kind of using it for tinkering and stuff like that. And the other shop, I'm sure it'll be pretty much the same way. And if we want to turn it into a business out there, as you know, as long as we have the office set up and stuff, and we have like people, we just have to advertise, and people might have to drive a little further because it's about 10 miles out of town. It's in another town that's about 10 miles away from where we're at right now. So they just have to drive a little further, but it could be done if we really wanted to. And again, we wouldn't be opening it up as just a regular stereo shop just to throw like, you know, a slap-in stereo into a car. There's plenty of other stereo shops in town that can do a slap-in system, you know, and they're all in competitive pricing wise. I think if we did it as a stereo shop, we'd be more focused on extreme stuff because there's no places in town or in our small city that does extreme stuff. And if they do the extreme stuff, they charge an arm and a leg to do it. So I think that we would be a niche shop, and we'd be the only shop in this state that would probably be an extreme build shop. So I think we'll wait and see how that goes, but with word of mouth and advertising and stuff, we'd probably get quite a bit of business. We're just working on our own stuff, and we already have people that are hitting us up asking us if we can build their stuff for them. And I'm just like, no, we're not an actual shop, so unfortunately we can't do that for you. But if we ever did open it up as an actual shop, I'm sure we'd get the business. So, all right, guys, I figured I'd just make a little quick video on this, just kind of showing you guys how I put it together and did all this stuff. I might do a little welding today. I'm not sure. If I do, I'll put that up at the end of the video or just kind of blend it into this. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. It helps out a lot. And thanks for watching. All right, so we got this stuff done. As you can tell in the time lapse there, yeah, I didn't cover the glass, so it got speckled from the welding and stuff. I don't really care, because again, this isn't a daily driver for me. This is just a sale vehicle. I can always have this glass buff. This glass probably won't even make it through the first round, so I'm not worried about this glass as a front freaking glass here, because this is eventually going to get changed to either plexiglass or polycarbonate, like a really heavy duty glass that's going to be put in here. So this isn't even going to matter. I'm lucky if it makes it through the first round. Let's be real. So I welded these on there. I took off the silicone little boots for the arms on there, just so I could spray it. And I sprayed it with some high build primer, just to get it covered real quick. I will come back through and I'll paint these when I paint the vehicle. It's also why I wasn't too worried about this right here, because this is going to be painted anyways when I paint the vehicle, this black trim. So the window will be taped off, but the black trim will be painted. This may be changed anyways later down the line in the future in the metal, just so that I can actually have a lip made that's going to actually try to hold this in place better. Because even though these do have a full window where they, or a full frame where they tuck up in the window, this is just not going to hold it, none. So they always do pop out anyways. So I'm thinking about taking this off and taking it to like a metal fab place and then having them build me this trim piece identical out of metal with like an extra like inch and a half overlay that'll actually stick off from here. It's not going to do anything as far as like hurting the window any. It's just when you roll your window down, instead of it rolling down and being like a little crack, when you roll your window down, you're going to have to roll it down further because you're going to have that little overlay down. So other than that, this may or may not be changed when I get a chance to. I don't know the extent of how to get this off of here. I'm assuming I have to take the door panel apart and then that upper trim piece. But this is on there now, and these just bolt right in. They lock in. That's locked in. When I first had it on there, it wasn't locking in on that bottom one for some reason. The top one, I had to adjust to make it tighter because this bottom one, I could have brought this connector piece in a little further, and then that would have gave me less tension on it, but this arm or the C that goes for this is not long enough. But at this point in time, I have it as short as I can get it, and it's super tight. It actually slides the door over slightly. It doesn't pull this door necessarily, but it pulls this door. So it basically pulls it tight. These are together now. Like that shouldn't vibrate. Like it literally shouldn't vibrate free. We'll see. This one I can probably still do some tension on, but we'll see. The frame was bent because somebody jimmied this door before to try to get in there. So that part's there. This is fully welded on there. There's no coming back from that. I'll take you guys off the stand. I'll show you guys up close what it looks like, and then you guys can see. Obviously, you know, grinder and paint makes me the welder that I ain't. But yeah, I had to turn on the screen so I could see what I'm zooming in at here. But they're plug welded, plus they're welded on the top and the bottom. And then that's plug welded, welded on the top, bottom, and then spot welded on each side. And then again, same here. This is plug welded, then welded on the top, bottom, and side. This one I welded on the side. That one I did not, however. Then this is plug welded through those screw holes, then welded on the sides, like just tack welded. And then it's welded on the bottom and welded on the top. So they're not gonna go anywhere. Like those are on there. At least I hope they don't. This one here, I ended up having to put a little bit more on it because I ended up burning a hole through there with the welder, and my welder's turned down as far as it can go. So I just guess I must have held it in one spot too long, so I kind of had to do a build up on there, but oh well, you live and you learn. And it's on there, it's solid, so you can literally watch it move when it pops in place and locks in. So it's very, very solid. I'm hoping that that helps. Don't know what the damage is going to be done for pulling on that hinge back there after a while of locking these, but we'll deal with that bullshit later at a different date. For right now, I don't have to have anybody hold my doors when I'm in comp. And that's the most important part. So put you guys back up on the stand here. And with that being done now, I mean, I can buff this. I can just, tape these off so I don't hit them with the buffer. And then I can go through here and I can just buff this out with a buffing wheel. Try to get that glass. I mean, the glass is pretty damn smooth, but try to get some of those pock marks out of there. And again, this ain't gonna matter. So this is done now until I paint it. Once I paint it, then yeah, it should be all black or basically it should be black except for the little rubber, I don't know, silicone tip things that they have on here, if I can get them back on there when I put the paint on. I just didn't want bare metal right here, and didn't want to have the welds being bare metal, so I just kind of painted it up, and it dried really fast. That high build primer stuff, it dries really quickly. If I'm just driving around, I can just drive around like that. It's no problem. That way people can still get in and out if they need to. But if I'm at a comp, obviously, I'll lock it. Or if it's just me driving it around, maybe I'll lock it because I don't know, these might flop around or something like that. But make a little noise while driving. I've seen other people use these. They put them on the inside up here to try to help pull it shut. I'm not worried about that. I don't really care to have it on the inside to pull it shut because I still want to use my A-pillar cap. My A-pillar cap is one big fucking cap and it screws on right here. So this all would be in the way of that. So I put it on the outside. Now I only did 2 of them because I'm hoping that down here it doesn't matter. I'm hoping that that doesn't flop too bad down there. We'll see if it does. If it does, then I got to put a 3rd one way down there. So as of for right now, this is done. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.